All right, hello and welcome everybody to the big, the one, the only, the fat, dripping, throbbing episode 60, episode 60. Even though we've done more than that, of the SPNatI Podcast, the Strip Poker Night at the Inventory Podcast. There's been a lot of 0.5s. There was even a 0.5 in there, but this is the official episode 60. So I am SPNanon, I'm your regular host, and I'm here with my co-host, nmasp, who is apparently the only one that Craig will let record anymore because they fucked it up. Go ahead and say hi.
Yeah, hey, good to be here. Also on the call today with us is our good collaborator, Spaceman. Spaceman, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us about your project.
Hey, everyone.
And commit things to posterity.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, Spaceman here. I'm the Happy Spaceman. I am a developer here. I've been here for like a year and a half. I did the artwork for and co-wrote Wikipedia, and I also co-wrote Charlie from Has Been Hotel. And I'm getting to be on the podcast today. And there's another character we'll be talking about later that I had to work for. So looking forward to this.
Let's work on Zoe.
No.
I didn't work on Zoe.
Carvel worked on Zoe. There we go. Sorry.
Yeah, Carvel worked on both Wikipedia and Zoe.
There we go.
Yeah,
cool.
he's collaborated with him a bit. nmasp,
Nice.
you have your own big project that you will be talking about today as well.
For like the fourth fucking time. I hope it's the last one. Yeah, Marinette's
I'm the
on
odd
the
man out. I'm the only one here without any
Wow,
big moving and
I
shaking.
feel like this never happens, SPNanon. I have to admit it's really tough being committed to one character over a really long period of time. It's definitely not for everyone. Like
Nobody's excited anymore.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's been a little while. We waited because we had a bit of a content drought for episode 59.5. We wanted to just clean up the agenda. Turns out we waited a little too long because there's plenty to talk about this time. We have a bunch of main roster additions, which we'll try to get through relatively quickly because there's less to say about main roster. They haven't changed as much. And then quite a number of new testing characters, which we'll probably get through a decent amount of them. And if time permits, we even have a couple bonus Q&A questions left over from last time. Right. We may or may not get to those, depends on how interesting you think they all are. Cool. But I think that's the main plan. We definitely want to we want to give all these main roster additions their due time, but keep it snappy. I think I think we're going to go ahead and start off as usual with our guest. Happy Spaceman, you're going to go first for each and give your opinion for each of these characters. Then nmasp will go, and we'll finish it off with me because I have the least to say because I usually focus on testing. So I'll just piggyback off of whatever you said and pretend I had an opinion.
Excellent. All right, Spaceman, what do you think about our first character, Ringo Ando by Horse Cat and Napsu? Looks like Horse Cat was on the model.
Yes, the Puyo Puyo Apple Girl.
Yes.
So
go ahead.
Ringo Star.
Apparently, Ringo just means apple in Japanese.
Oh,
yeah,
so Apple Star.
That.
Yeah,
nice.
Ringo.
So first of all, just a full disclaimer: I am not familiar with any of the source materials for any of the characters we're talking about today, except for one.
Spaceman, that was your job.
Probably 1.5.
You're supposed to play all of these games. And watch all of these shows.
I played
all of them.
I have very limited time. I obviously played all the characters.
You're supposed to clear every single Puyo Puyo game on expert.
Oh no. So I can't.
I can't talk
about. I confess. I confess.
Well, that's mistake number one. If you never admit to it, it's like it never happened. Easy.
Yeah. Well, so the point is, I can't talk about how in character or source accurate any of them are. So I'll just be focusing on like what their characters are, and everything they are in SPNatI. So like I like Ringo. I was kind of cheering her on from early on because reasons I'll get to. I was kind of bummed when she fell testing and was happy when she came back on. She has a very unique art style, and that's really something that is a strength for for Ringo. I mean, she entered testing around the same time as Charlie and Marceline, who also had really unique art styles and who also fell off testing. I do like characters whose design isn't just typical anime and who, really take full advantage of the hellspace, the hellscape that is Kisuke. So, I mean, like, as far as her in the game, I think she has a very cute personality. But again, really, I think that she's got great writing. But again, even if she didn't have great writing, then her strength would be just the really, really good art and the posing. I'm not just talking about the animated poses either, but some of like the forfeit poses at the end have like actual perspective in them, and that was really, really good. Horse Cats did superb job on there. I mean, the character's writing is very, very, very good, but the art is more than enough to go with. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a great addition to the roster.
I think it was Napsu that actually pushed this character across the finish line, right?
Yeah. Looks like that's the case.
Yeah, Napsu did a good job with that.
Did she talk about like what she kind of wanted to do, or just like fill out the sponsorships, or what was it?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her. Like, I think I actually have no idea. I think like what happened here is probably she wrote a streaming channel interview and then just like wanted the character to go live, kind of. So that's why maybe we don't get as many streaming channel
self-promotion.
I kind of think that's what happened here. I'm not sure. Who can know the heart of a man? Yeah. So, but
I'm not letting this go to waste.
I guess so. It's just like, I don't know. I like Ringo. I think she's really cute. I targeted her a lot with Adrian pre Marinette being around, and she's great. Like, I think she's really cool. I think she's a little simple. I think like this is the type of character you hope someone else feels really strongly about and like picks them up and then just adds a whole bunch of content to them. Because like I don't know. I don't think she's bad. Like, I think she's just fine. I just think that she could stand to grow a little bit more as far as like having more content. Like, she could target more characters or. But I also, in fairness, don't know like how many people are like champing at the bit to target Ringo, right? Like, yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Fairness, like targeting more characters is always like something that will really help. So I think that'll really help here. I can agree with you on that.
Yeah, SPNanon.
Yeah. I'd say like she doesn't have like a ton of content in terms of like interactions, but what's there, like the base here is just really strong. The sort of unique art, the unique sort of really, really tight-waisted body type, and the forfeit poses, and just like the generally like cute, energetic, fun personality. She just kind of reminded me of Marinette a little bit. So tripping over herself and getting embarrassed, but in sort of like a fun, cheery, positive way.
Yeah,
I can see
smart
it.
And
she's just like she's a really quintessential, like just like good character with even a little bit of an X factor with the custom art.
Agreed.
It's just a shame that I don't think she's kind of on the main roster now, but she's going to be one of those characters that no one's really going to bat for.
I would kind of agree with that. I don't think,
but she's worth putting on any table.
I think it'd be cool to see Horse Cat go back and give her some updates, because I don't think Napsu is planning to do that. At least not from what I've seen. But yeah, okay, that's Ringo. On to Mari Setogaya.
I believe the original Mari, the Omori Mari, made it to main roster last time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Closely behind her.
And now Mari Setogaya, the vampire succubus, as opposed to the other Mari, who is also a succubus in a much less literal sense.
Also a vampire succubus.
Much less literal sense. I like Mari Setogaya. I mean, I like both Maris. I like Mari. She's got a very cute. I think that she has an interesting personality. It definitely has very cute energy, but little bits of teasing and sexual teasing. She was significantly less overtly sexual or slutty than I was expecting from a hentai character. I'd use slutty because I have no other word to use there. She was significantly less overtly sexual, but I've always liked her every time I play her. And of course, my man's work on her with like her changing forms later on in the game that of course is always something to appreciate. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say about her. I just keep writing her, my mans, because I really dig what she is currently.
Kind of agree with that. I think I've said a lot of really strong. I think Mymans is a very, very strong writer, A of all, and B of all. Like, I think she is a really great character. I think she adds a lot to the roster. I think she's got a lot to say to a lot of different characters. And she just brings like a lot of really good flavor and texture. She's like Moon, if Moon were not like, so we're talking about Moon later. Like, I like Moon, but I think like Mari is like a better executed version of Moon in some ways. Like Moon's kind of a meme character. I think Mari is like the more serious, functional version of that, which is like she's definitely there to like bang, but she's not like it's not all that she is, even though she literally is a semen demon and needs semen to live, which is very, very fucked up and very funny.
She's there to have fun, and she hopes everyone else has fun as well. I like that. I like that energy.
We're going to be talking about Moon a little bit later, but
I know we are.
Oh,
she kind of feels like Moon, but like her attitude's actually appropriate for the character. And like, I don't know, she feels like she's at least like self-aware enough that she could maybe learn something from the other people, and she's not just like constantly trying to throw off all her clothes. Like, there is something else to her, at least, even if it's like trying to be eager to please by actually changing herself. Like that's a pretty unique thing that makes her stand out.
Yeah,
is the different, like literally different body types that she has. Neither of those is really for me. I like the standard Mari the best, but hey.
I would agree with that. I think like I think there's probably like room in there for like other things like this. I just think it's like you kind of run into this problem where SPNatI just does not support that type of function very well. Like, oh, I want to change the character's outfits. It's like, good fucking luck. Like, I
think the player actually has control over what form she creates.
No,
right?
but that's not my point. My point is like, if it's not like an alternate costume because it's like based on a collectible and it's only for certain stages, you have to write like markers for each of those values. It's like why when I was writing Akko, right? Like it was basically like, oh yeah, she could like keep these things up for like when Yuri and I run Akko, it's like, oh man, we can do all this like complex shit. Then like Vriska came out and I'm like, oh, actually that is like a bad idea and would be just like very difficult. And you know, I think it's good. I think the implementation here is strong. It's just kind of like, well,
it was like 4.5 years ago. Like no one remembers, or 3.5 years ago, nobody remembers Vriska.
Stop! I don't want. Oh God, I can't believe it. But anyway,
she like melted everyone's computer.
Yeah, that was great.
That was like she had like totally random outfits for a strip order. She had like 3 outfits for every stage, basically. And this was before like the pose maker or any kind of complex marker systems. She did this the hard way, and like
oh wow,
in the old ways,
and like the most like the clunkiest, like least efficient way you could think of to do it now. That's what she did. Just like separate images for all of these things. It didn't help in terms of RAM usage.
Anyway, yeah. So on from Mari's good. Play her. Please target Mari a lot. She's a very, very interesting character. Getting a lot of updates.
Yeah, I can tell Mymans is really passionate about her inclusion and wants to keep updating her, and it's nice.
Also, just like A+, like Mymans going from Fluttershy to like Uwu to like Mari Setogaya is like okay, that's good. Mymans refuses to be typecast, and I can respect that.
We're gonna get chubby Fluttershy.
Please no. It's just that's just not necessary. Like I don't know why you would ruin a perfectly good character by doubling their mass instead of doubling their line count.
Mass, you've just made enemies of like everyone on the server. I am your ally, but everyone else is your enemy.
Well, people are allowed to be wrong. Like if everyone were right all the time, it would be a dull world. Cool.
That's fair.
Okay, so on to Lux.
Mostly just a model update. A very specific one.
I'm going to be really honest. Like, I do not know what the big differences here were until someone explained them to me. So it's like, I think that in some ways it's the mark of a good model update because it's like...
Scroll up, bro.
I mean, yeah, but like the point that I'm trying to make is like...
It's just the underwear, right?
More or less.
And some other expression updates. But like my point that I'm trying to make is like, that's kind of the sign of a good model update because either people are like, wow, or like, they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's great. Like it's subtle and tasteful and it fulfills like the artist's vanity, which is nice.
It does look a little bit more like medieval, but like for a young girl, whereas before it kind of looked like a grandma underwear. Something about like it had like a well, it depends on which way you're looking, but like a convex curve, like her top. Solitaire can see it up above, but like it just made her, I don't know, made her look kind of saggy and weird, like her breast weren't filling out her top.
It did look a little loose. Anyway, so what else do you guys think about Lux's new?
All right, I guess I spoke out of turn, but go ahead, Spaceman.
Yes, it's all totally good. I had to I didn't really notice until like I saw the model update. I don't know. I think it's a subtle enough update, and I think it's pretty good. I think she has a very specific style for like her art style that some people are not into. I think it's done well though, and so I don't know about like as far as the update, what's been changed. I don't really have much to say about it. Just I don't know. Just keep writing her because she has not been written much super frequently recently. And
yeah. I think we've kind of like I like Lux. I'd love to see her get more updates.
Yeah.
And with that, we're gonna go on to our SPNanon, certainly SPNaon's favorite character, the community beloved and not at all criticized.
Wait, I have something else to say about Lux.
Okay.
Oh, this hasn't really been changed by her underwear design. I think it just might be her long torso or whatever. I don't know. I've always gotten the impression like her. I guess that's where her crotch goes, but like the crotch of like her panties, it just seems to like dip down really far. She's got like a really long vagina.
Long pussy Lux. That's what they call her.
That's what they call her. The deep dark cavern. No man has ever plumbed its full depths.
The lightless depths. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Have to call in Dranky.
Oh god.
Oh no.
The only man who can reach.
So when I originally wrote,
L and Lux stands for long vagina.
Okay, so speaking of Moon, so Moon is finally on the main game.
Solitaire, I want you to post the full clip of from Curb Your Enthusiasm of Big Vagina. Just like the full thing. It's like 4 minutes long. I want the entire thing in the middle.
I don't want you to do that, Solitaire.
It's definitely going to happen.
Solitaire, you don't have to
you won't just ignore me.
Solitaire, you don't need to do this. It's fine.
Solitaire's never ignored me when I requested something stupid in an edit.
No.
Indeed. Well,
he's just gonna put like
Lux is a light bringer. Lux is a light bringer, and you know who else brings light is the moon. So transition.
Strong play. So tell us about what are your feelings on Moon.
Okay, so as I said, don't know much about character accuracy from characters from video games, anime, etc. But the first time I played Moon in SPNatI, even I was like, eh. So, I mean, I guess there's no point bringing up the whole argument about Moon's characterization because that never really gets anywhere. I think she does fill that niche of out of character nymphomaniac, and it's better that she's the one who does that than like Samus or Rogue or Uhura. Rest in peace, Michelle Nichols. I think she's better. I think Moon is Moon pushes it a little over the edge to at least entertaining. Instead of aggravating because of how over the top she is. It's like almost comically out of character slutty. And so that's something that makes it a little bit more tolerable because it is at least entertainingly so. One thing I forgot about was how mean Moon could be. Everyone talks about how slutty she is, but like she's had one line, if you're also trying to lose, please stop. Nobody wants to see you naked. And like, damn, that's savage. But I don't know. I think as far as her returning to main, she at least looks far better on main than she had before. Because like the artwork by the Lonely Phone Box looks significantly better than her original artwork. And on that note, on the note of artwork, I am glad that she finally got a butt pose. Because, her name is Moon, yet for so long she didn't have a mooning pose, which is a missed opportunity. So I'm glad she fixed it. I'm glad that was fixed with her.
That is such an interesting nitpick.
It is so rare to play. I mean, like, it's a missed opportunity, if nothing else.
Huh.
But, I don't know. Moon's not for me. But I mean, she serves the purpose. Okay. What do you guys think?
I sucks. I think Moon gets an unfair rap. I think Moon's like a fine character, and I think like she does serve a purpose. I also, I don't know, like I've already destroyed my credibility with like the like fat shaming Mari Setogaya, so I'll just burn it all to the ground right now. I think Moon's fine. Like I think Moon's a good character. I think she's a very particular type of character, but I also think that like not all characters need to be for all people. I just don't think that's very realistic. So she's good. I'm glad she's on test or she's off test. She's in the main game. It's okay.
Okay, to be clear, I don't think she like sucks
I know.
anymore. Like she's definitely like throughout this like I feel like we haven't mentioned that she was on testing for like 2 fucking years.
Yeah, I can't believe.
Oh yeah, very long time.
Like, this was a whole era that like people don't remember of like her reign of terror on main. I think a lot of people have just forgotten about her because of how long she's just been like sucking dick in the back rooms.
It's just like Moon's just like I think Moon is like the original agenda post character in some ways. Where it's just like, oh guys, we have to ban Moon because she's like not. It's just like, no guys, like you're trying to ban Moon because you don't like Moon. What are you doing?
Like I don't. A lot of people make the point that we got to have one hyper slut character. Might as well be Moon. That way, no one else can do it. We can just point to her, and it's like, no, it's not how psychology works. You don't just be like, okay, well, one person shit on the floor, so it's okay. Now we have our one.
The box is checked.
One token pile of floor shit. It's not going to be. It's not going to be like you realize that's just going to be like, oh, okay, I guess it's okay to shit on the floor. That's what people take away from that. I mean, at least it was a character that. Yeah, I guess people care. I would assume some people care about her somewhere. I don't know. Sun and Moon are old and busted now. Now we have Sword and Shield, and then Scarlet and Violet with the Shining Twins.
Does she have like a canon personality, or is this just? I mean, I know that this isn't anywhere near canon, but does she have a canon personality? Because I know a lot of Pokemon characters don't.
If it was like canon Moon, she would just like stare blankly with a smile at everything that happens.
That's like almost worse, honestly. Like,
it's important to remember that when Moon first came to the game, her game was like pretty fresh. She was the Pokegirl. She was new. She was exciting.
Ash, I came when I heard you beat the Elite Four.
The ravages of time. Oh, so you do remember something from Pokemon nmasp?
Nah, I just kind of am shit posting.
But yeah, so she hasn't really had any big update to get her across the finish line. She just just finally found some time to finish all her sponsorships. She had been sponsored for like a year. So
yeah,
there's nothing really to talk about other than she hasn't really changed all that much. She's been cleaned up of some like bestiality lines. I guess if you really like Moon, here she is. She's back. You could say she never left in a sense. She looks better.
She does. She looks a lot better, but yeah.
I believe I once described her old model as looking like her head was inflated with piss.
Oh, Jesus.
I can imagine that description being used by you.
I don't know. That's what came to mind. Like a big water balloon full of piss.
Sounds about accurate, too.
Okay. So
maybe we should move on.
Let's move on, please.
On to Yusuke. Yusuke,
from the most sexual character to the least.
If I may, has done it again. And by done it again, I mean Yusuke is on the main roster. Good job, buddy. You did it.
Yeah. Good job, if I may. So that's Yusuke.
The running theme of the main roster additions in this episode is characters finally making it.
It's kind of interesting how it's just like this surge of like, okay, we're fucking done with it. Bye.
Yeah, let's talk about Yusuke. I don't know. Interesting character. I think he's very technical in how he talks. Kind of very, very quiet, but I noticed he's also like not showing much emotion, so it feels like kind of like a Vulcan. I've never seen his source. Is he meant to be like autistic or something? Or
some people like to interpret him that way. He's just socially really awkward, and he's like very invested in his art, but he's not like, like he's like he wants to like draw one of the female characters. Who's anyway? It's very not tasteful in terms of like the way it's shown. Sorry,
I get you.
I'm like shooting myself in the foot. It's just like it's not like super tasteful based on the timing, but there's like a point to like one of the main female characters is like, yeah, I'll just you can draw me naked. He's like, oh, thank God, but it's not like done. It's just sort of like I'm just kind of doing this because I want a good muse to draw, sort of thing. That makes sense.
I see. Yeah, he does kind of remind me of Rin from Rin, is it from Katawa Shoujo in that sense? But but like even more so, he to the point where he almost kind of comes off as a party pooper. I don't know if that's absolutely in character or if like that's what he'd do, but I don't know. His art's nice, and I do think it's interesting that after he finishes his forfeit, he does start painting. You know, not my favorite character, not one I would come back to a lot. I think if I were to write him, I'd make him a little more enthused. But if that's in character with him, then that's all he needs to be. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yusuke kind of comes off to me as like a more of a comedy character.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I think to some extent he's just there because the other Phantom Thieves are there, which was kind of more of a driving force in like 2018 when Persona 5 was new. But it's a shame it takes so long. Yeah, like Futaba came and then Ryuji and then Haru and here's Yusuke. You finally made it. Makes sense that he wouldn't be super eager to join this poker game, but like it's he's kind of from the same family tree as N, where he's like the asexual sort of intellectual anime pretty boy.
Oh, he's asexual.
It's more like you're there to look at him. But I think he's funny in the sense of like how flowery he gets with his dialogue over basic things, like them taking off a belt, and he's like a petal floating in the wind, and like him starting to paint and showing off the painting at the end. He's more of a comedy character, is the sense I get, unless you just like the pretty boy aspect.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed any like repeating lines or anything. So I think this, as far as that goes, he's fine. And I think, yeah, you got a good point about that.
Yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, let's keep going. Okay, so next on our list is not Mari S, but Mari Omori has an epilogue now. It's the first epilogue I think that's come out in like a really long time. Yeah, it's very good. It is
really good epilogue.
Talking about because nobody gets epilogues anymore.
Yeah, or a lot of work.
I think like
from what I can understand. But it is a really good epilogue. I love the animations. It's very immersive. Everything I'd want from an epilogue with that character. I don't have any criticisms, honestly. I think it's just really well done. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a good epilogue. I think like in general, like this is less to talk about Mari, so I'm sorry, Viz. Like it's good. I don't really know what else to add. There's like a lot of really great details in there. I think the thing that I would kind of like keep in mind is we need someone to come in and just like, I think that like Mari sets the standard as like achievable, I guess is how I put it. Like not like this sounds really shitty, but it's not like, you can do simpler epilogues, but it's kind of true. Like Mari Omori sets kind of a little bit more of an accessible standard for how people could potentially be making their epilogues. And I think that's really nice to see that we can actually start seeing a little more of that in the game. You know, I don't think Mari is going to be the harbinger of like everyone suddenly making epilogues, but I do think it's going to be marginally easier for her to be the person that we point to, be like, yeah, see, epilogues are fine. Then like
it's not easy to make an epilogue with the modern animation tools. It's not hard. It's not easy to create all those art assets, but a lot of new creators kind of psyched themselves out from ever doing it. So it was very much, I think, Viz's intent to just show like, hey, you can do this. I can do this. Look, I just did it. He used like the model disassembler. He made a bunch of animatable parts, and he made it happen. And it, taken at face value in a vacuum, it's pretty much the most bog standard you could possibly get. Like, Mari mates with you naked after the game, and she takes you into a private room, and then you go down on her, and she goes down on you. Does a little tit job. And then it's like a cowgirl, and then you come, and then it's over. And that's all it really needs to be. That's all most players would really want anyway. you don't have to go on a whole fucking adventure with her across an island through a typhoon and fight a shonen filler villain, and she writes you a letter at the end. Like, it's cool that you do that with Nami. You go through the vents and hide from the Marines, but it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be. It can be 5 minutes long.
Yeah, that's fair. It's entirely fair.
Same time, at the same time, I'm not gonna still probably not gonna make an epilogue.
And I think what's really nice about it is that even if it doesn't do anything amazing and incredible and innovative, it also doesn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Basically, I never noticed anything that was weird or off. Like the perspective was weird, or something like a sprite changed ratio or something didn't match. It was all very smooth and fit together well, and you could tell he used the animatable pieces to a good extent. Everything was smooth. Everything ran well.
Yeah, you can tell Viz tested the shit out of that epilogue, which is great to see.
Yeah, that's definitely I could see that.
I did think it was a little weird that he used crossfades, which I mentioned in bug reports, for every transition between a different pose. It's not really what you use crossfades for. It'd be okay to just snap to a new position. Crossfades are to show passage of time.
Fair.
If you're watching a movie and some guy's talking on the phone for a long time and you just crossfades a different part of the conversation. But yeah, I don't think that was really necessary. That was the only thing.
Okay. So any other thoughts, Spaceman, spnanon?
More cunnilingus. It's always good.
Fair enough.
More
I can
out.
agree with that.
Good shit.
I can agree with that.
It's my fetish.
Wait, what did you say?
More cunnilingus is what he said. I can agree with that.
I think a lot of people can agree with that. Yep, let's move on to Sly.
Sly.
Cool.
Sly and the Family Stone. No, Sly Cooper from the Sly Cooper franchise.
I have always wanted to fuck a 6 foot tall raccoon in the ass.
This and other spnanon quotes.
Oh, who hasn't? Let's be honest. So yeah, Sly Cooper. I think our second or third
snuck onto the main roster.
Yeah, the second or third ever furry character to be in the main roster. Actual furry and not half-assed human with animal ears or whatever.
Like a Komodo me.
I'm always okay with that.
Senko in shambles.
No, I like Senko. But I don't know. I think I'm always okay with more furry characters. I think that certainly stands out.
He looks like he should be in Star Fox.
You're not wrong.
That's a really specific. It's weird that you say that, but I can't contest it.
You're not wrong.
Basically, the same school of character design. So if you took an anime pretty boy and you made him into a furry.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know. He certainly stands out. He says I say he's enough going for him with his personality and his posing to make him work, even if some people aren't into furry characters. He still has some dialogue that repeats itself, so I could probably use more lines and more interactions, but I'm always vouching for the importance of adding more lines and stuff. Again, it is very funny that he takes off his pants in the first stage, which leads to a nice use of custom poses for pretty much every stage after that. So I don't know, just keep riding him, Alias. I'm rooting for you.
Can't believe just Alias just doing this. I just absolute.
You want to talk about not getting typecast?
Absolute mad lad. Mr. I think I'll make Cagliostro. Okay. And then also Mr. I think Sly Cooper is a great idea. It's and then talking to it, it's just dude, what are you doing? It's great.
Oh yeah. Alias's characters that he's written he's been involved in writing for are so widely varied. Honestly.
What does the algorithm make of him?
I don't know. Quality. That's the answer.
Quality.
You got
quality, definitely.
That's true. That's the consistent theme.
Consistently good. All right, so I think Sly adds a lot to the game. I think it's really cool to see him make the main roster. I know that could not have been easy to do, so it's just really impressive that he got there. Okay, that's all I really got to say about him. Anything from you, spnanon?
I don't think Sly has changed a whole lot. I don't think he's really reworked anything specific or anything fundamental to the way he was when he first dropped on testing. So it's really just been sort of a refinement process.
Yeah.
Like
that's always good.
So I don't have too much to add. I will say that like I had like a train of thought and I lost it, but it was just props to Alias for pursuing all those different projects and sort of expanding his horizons, and I think what's impressive is that he's been successful with each one of those archetypes, even though they're completely different from each other.
Yeah, it's incredibly impressive.
They don't even really feel like they were all made by the same person, you know?
Yeah, which is good. Okay, all right.
We are almost done with the main roster additions.
Another character who has finally made it off of the testing tables, Myriam from Ace Attorney.
Masp, you can't just call her Myriam. You gotta use her last name.
Myriam Scuttlebutt?
Yes.
Oh.
Myriam finally scuttled her butt onto the main roster.
Wow.
And honestly, I'm happy for that. I think it's the idea of having a character wear a box for the vast majority of the game is a unique concept for a character, and I'd say that's a concept done well. Nice posing with the box, not showing the face means a lack of emoting, so the posing without the facial expressions showing, I'd say are done pretty well. And I also like the animated poses. I was curious about she has an interesting way of talking. I was curious about the sound effects in her dialogue. I kind of thought that might have been like the sound of her taking pictures, but apparently it's just a verbal tick. So that's certainly an interesting touch.
She just loves cock, man.
Yeah. Almost sounds like the Friday the 13th sound effects. But yeah, I don't know. I think she's an interesting addition to the roster. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't dislike Myriam. I will admit I don't have a ton of strong feelings about Myriam, just because I don't think her model is attractive, and I don't think she's really filling a niche that appeals to me personally. And I'm not really sure who the target audience for this character is, which is not designed to be like me being shitty about it. Just I just legitimately don't know. But I think the fact that the character was pushed over the finish line is great. It's always good to see a project get finished. It's better to have them get done than just kind of have them linger forever.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's always really encouraging to see. And I think from just from this gift from the source material, I think the real appeal of her is how, even though she's kind of shitty and annoying, when she's taking notes on everybody, when the box comes off, she's really shy and embarrassed, which is kind of cute.
Yeah, I think she's a really good character.
So I think that's the main appeal, which it's not for everyone, but to some extent, it's also she's like a comedy character because it's just kind of you can't get around how she's hanging out under a box that's just funny.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a funny visual. Probably something that a lot of people will be naturally, if they do a Let's Play of SPNatI, they'll probably click on that because it's oh, that's funny.
What is this? Yeah.
It's when they click on Navi because oh, what are you supposed to do with Navi?
Yeah.
Collect epilogues back in the old days.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
wow.
I don't know if we've seen any tangible change in player habits just yet. I think that's something that's going to take a long time to germinate because those habits are pretty ingrained to grind out epilogues with 3-layer characters. Because not only do you not need to win anymore, but now the character AI has changed. So if they have good AI and 3 layers, they're not necessarily going to eat shit right off the bat. AI was changed recently to sort of have more of a difference in skill level between the levels. Best is as good as a player, and then good is a pretty steep drop off from that in average.
That would explain that one bug report I got. They're Marinette is impossible to beat, and I'm because she has 2 things at best now.
She did last pretty long in my game, but
yeah. So I need to change. It's 2 of good, I think, but that needs to just get changed, I think.
Well, she has 8 layers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she lasted a good but not too long length in my game, so there's some luck in the draw there. There always will be.
Yeah.
But
even still, it's
AI has been changed. It's a big change.
AI has changed.
I would like to add, Solitaire, if you could put this before the break. Discord also has a new feature, complementing the AI update, that now you can take a look at your character's win rate, and actually just every character's win rate, I think, and what kind of players, what kind of tags they use, like whether how many players play with the gay tag, for example, with them. And you could see how what place they finish in. How do they win a lot? Do they sort of finish in the middle? So a lot of interesting stuff like that you can see. And I've already noticed Maya having 5 layers of best. She already has a much higher win rate than she used to. I don't know how long that's going to hold, or if that's just a temporary anomaly. I guess we'll see. But it seems to be holding over the course of a few weeks. So pretty interesting. Like Maya, 5 layers of best is doing better than Revi, who's 7 layers of average.
Neat.
It used to be almost entirely layer count that made any difference. Pretty interesting.
It is. So
okay,
let's talk about testing.
Strangely, we actually have more main roster additions to cover this time than we do testing. I guess we'll see how many we get through. We might get through all of them, but
we might.
We are going to start. We have quite the eclectic mix of main roster or testing additions this time. A lot of interesting new characters, all female though. I'm sure that if any plebs manage to actually find this podcast, they'll be very happy about that. Now that they've swam through Yusuke and Sly Cooper, or probably skip to testing. We have
welcome to the fun
an original
part
character,
of the game, boys.
Although not entirely original, because, for one thing, it's basically a self-insert. It's beta self-insert. So, and for another thing, she was an April Fool's character. And like many April Fool's characters, such as, in the vein of Magma Grunt and even your very own Wikipedia, Spaceman, people loved her so much, she just became she's going for main roster. She's going to be real. It's basically she's like the SPNatI equivalent. It's the SPNatI equivalent of haha, wouldn't this be funny if this was a character? Unless
I feel like April Fools is just everyone's backdoor pilot. Be like, oh yeah, haha, this character's so dumb, right? But do you really like them?
Unless. do you really want to sleep in the same Minecraft bed?
Oh,
indeed.
Yeah.
What if we kissed in the inventory? Yeah, this is Nanoko-chan.
Yeah, Nanoko-chan. We finally got to say her name. So, as far as her being having been an April Fool's character, what exactly is her joke? Because it feels more like Magma Grunt than Wikipedia. Wikipedia did have kind of a joke with her, that she was Wikipedia, but Magma Grunt always felt like
that's my point, though, right?
Both Magma Grunt and Nanoko-chan feel like there's not really a joke there. They're just, a character.
Nanoko-chan is kind of a joke, but it's also kind of a self-insert. It's basically cute anime style girl, but also that weird autistic kid that's obsessed with anime and video games and has no other personality traits, also known as everyone who works on this game.
That's you've spitting flames there.
And most of the people who play it.
That's a good joke, spnanon.
Indeed.
I'll see you in hell, fuckface.
We have fun. I think that she, in that way, she does actually kind of remind me of Tomoko in a bit of a way. Like an old Tomoko.
It's a little more easily digestible Tomoko. Yeah, she's still obsessed with porn and hentai, and she's even got a similar color scheme. She likes eroge, she likes video games, she likes anime and manga, she likes video game consoles.
I never actually played her during the April Fool's Day events. It was only recently that I gave her a proper play, so I can't speak to how she was back then. I will say she works better as a regular character. She has some interesting gimmicks. She had an interesting gimmick of her breaking the fourth wall and being self-aware of being surrounded by fictional characters. Although apparently Beta is toning down on that, so I don't know. I don't really know much. As I'm just trying to think of how that would be an April Fool's character, because it just seems to work better as a testing character. But I think that maybe zeroing in a bit more on certain traits, what traits she is supposed to have, would be very helpful for if the goal is to get her to the main roster eventually.
Well, she herself isn't really like a meme. It's just sort of the general comedy of being like little bit autistic and like a social setting. Sometimes she's like really weird and quiet, and she accidentally like stares at people or like fidgets around or daydreams. But like other times she like gets a little too ahead of herself when she thinks someone's interested. She starts like gushing about like Nintendo consoles or like quoting weird like games or like meme references or something, and then she backpedals like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was awkward, wasn't it? Oh God."
Well, one would do that, yeah.
Drops her spaghetti everywhere.
Nanoko-chan reminds me of like Gwenpool. Like Gwenpool was like during like the whole big like Gwen Stacy revival of like a couple of years ago. But like Gwenpool is basically not Deadpool. Her name is literally like Gwendolyn Poole, right? And so her whole conceit is like her superpower is that she's from like not the Marvel universe. So she just like understands like how it all works. And because of that, she just has like cheat codes. She knows everyone's weaknesses. She's like knows like all the gimmicky bullshit that people can do, and she's just like essentially just like, yeah, I just want a costume and to be a superhero, and I'm going to do that not because I'm super powered, but just because I've got like I know where all the cheat codes are, basically. So she kind of like Nanako.
That is a really interesting comparison.
She reminds me a lot of that because like Nanako is like aware of like what's going on, but she's not like driven crazy by it in the same way that like the Monicas and Charas of the world are. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. A little bit like Wikipedia in that way as well, because Wikipedia is also aware that it's kind of that they're all from different media. But I don't know. You go ahead, spnanon. I want to hear what you guys say.
I don't have a whole lot to add. I mean, my criticism my assessment of the character is basically the description that I just gave. Where like, I mean, I get what she's going for. I'm not sure how much of a shelf life it really has, or like how far you can really take it. She does have like some lore and some backstory. It's kind of sad though. It just makes me feel bad for her.
I think I can go pretty far. I think I can go pretty far as long as you just like keep at it. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess if the character, I guess if she targets a character that like is supportive of her, like I know she targets Marinette.
Yeah,
and I think Toph.
Yeah. But my point I'm trying to make is like I think with Nanoko-chan, like you can just keep target. Like I just think like it's the type of character that if you just keep targeting people, like you'll get there. Is more my point. Like right. No, I'm just like I think she's the type of character that, like you legitimately just have to keep doing the upkeep on the character, and eventually like she's just like a mainstay, right? That's kind of my point.
Fair.
She's nice little like flavor if you don't want to have like a super strong fourth personality on the table. Maybe I did kind of have my eyes drawn towards other characters by the end of the game. Because she just like did a lot of like daydreaming. She literally has a pose called Coom, which is just like staring completely. I don't know,
really good dirty talk. Yeah, really good dirty talk. Also,
yeah, she's not exactly suave.
Yeah, she's just fucking filthy.
I do think like because she's sort of like a self-insert sort of character, that's sort of it's a little dependent on the writer's mood at the time.
I don't know if it's like a self-insert.
It's a little mercurial.
Yeah.
I feel like she wasn't fully committed to the shtick at times. It kind of felt like she went a little too hard on the horny when maybe she should have been more awkward at times. It's hard to pin down exactly, but she didn't always feel like they had a really clear vision for like how they should react to everything. It's a little spur of the moment in terms of writing.
Yeah,
didn't quite come together as like a cohesive character for me.
that's fair. Last thing I guess say is the spats are always a top tier choice, but yeah, that's fair.
Dude, people are obsessed with spats. I just don't like. Everyone's just like super spats heavy for a little while there. I don't really get it, but
well, fucking Chie kid just came in with like, and she didn't have any, and that's like her whole thing. You can understand people being confused.
Yeah, I can. I'm confused. I'm confused. Yeah, Nico Robin. I think we talked about Nico Robin last time she was around. A lot of returns to testing, just really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of returns in general. Nanoko-chan, she has some lines about how she has pretty big tits, pretty big milkers, as she calls them, and that's like one of her best physical features. And I felt kind of bad for her because she was on the same table as Nico Robin, who has apparently in canon a 100 centimeter bust line.
Oh my god,
that's One Piece for you.
This is a fucking meter around. This is nmasp worst nightmare.
I hate it. Yeah.
This is now Nico Robin was on testing in February, although she was taken down pretty quickly. Her creator wasn't sort of happy with how she went or the response, and wasn't sure if he was going to continue working on her. And she recently, I want to say like a month or two ago, rejoined. Now she's been getting content updates, although it was more just a return, like he wanted to keep working on her. So I don't think it was like there's been like no drastic rework of how the character works.
Right.
It's just it's very much just a return and a continuation of the project. But Spaceman, go ahead and what do you think of Nico Robin as she currently is?
Yeah.
Because when we talked about her last time on the podcast, she had already been removed by then. So now that you got a chance to more fully experience her, what do you think, Spaceman?
Unfinished state. Yeah. So I was happy to see a return to testing. I was actually thinking about getting into One Piece after seeing Metallitar's 3 characters, and I saw how long it was, and I was like, nope. So, as someone who doesn't know that source material, she has a bit of a challenge of differentiating herself, but I think that Nico Robin does it well. Get a bit of a colder demeanor that does distinguish her from Nami and Perona. Kind of reminds me of Maya a little bit, but she's a little more outgoing than Maya. I'm not sure if that's in character, but I think that it does make her stand out.
She didn't remind me of Maya at all, other than being serious.
Huh. That's fair. Now, of course,
she's more motherly. She's a little more like, aren't you kids interesting? Mommy's gonna go over here and have some wine.
That's fair. That's something that really does make her stand out. In fact, on the roster, because we tend to have characters on the younger side of the spectrum, and that's nice. I like that aspect to her personality. Now, of course, it being a Metallitar, however you pronounce his name, character, of course, the art is really good. It goes without saying. It's good animated poses. The stuff at the end with a leg was a little strange, but definitely interesting and does seem in keeping with what I know about the series and about the character. So basically, my main advice is that she's fine. She's very, very good in her current. Just more lines, definitely, and she is worth a play.
If you're unfamiliar, Nico Robin has a superpower where she can like spawn all of her body parts.
Yeah, I got that. I caught that.
No, I'm explaining to the audience.
Oh, fair enough.
This isn't just like a 3-man chat here. So what he's talking about is that for the masturbation sequence, she like spawns a giant version of her own leg to sit on.
Nice masturbation.
Which does she feel the weight of that? Can she support that?
I guess.
And then spawns copies of her hands all over her own body to finger herself.
Nice, as they say, nice masturbation and climax scene.
There it is.
It was me. It was Drinky the whole time.
Keep going, Spaceman.
Yeah. That's all I have to say, really, is that she just needs more lines, but that as she is, it's definitely worth a play.
Do you have any other thoughts or criticisms?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's basically all but basically just more lines, because I did get a few lines that repeated a few times. So I think like she has a unique, like a nice personality, brings good energy to the table, good posing, good art, great masturbation and climax scene again. Nothing really more to say besides that. I don't know.
I feel criticized. I feel criticized that you compared her to Maya, because that ain't right.
I'm sorry.
They're both kind of serious, but like Nico Robin is very serene. She's very mature and self assured. Maya is competitive. She has extreme small dick energy. She wants to prove herself and put herself out there, and if something bothers her, she addresses it immediately. She never like just brushes anything off.
Yeah.
nmasp, what do you think of Nico Robin? I already know you adore Maya.
Yeah, Maya's great.
Everyone does.
Maya's literally perfect. How can anyone
respond to my Marinette lines, bitch?
Are there Marinette lines? Oh shit, there's Marinette lines. Thank you. Yes, I will respond to those. I am a fool and a coward. I guess we're just starting this over again, then, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool.
We wrote all those old targets like 4 years ago. Like, who cares? I don't even remember what they were.
Same. All right, good. Yeah.
All I know is that you made a meme where it's like, hey, look, this new character hates France and pubic hair, and Marinette got mad.
Oh. I legitimately don't remember that very much. It's probably Revy line. I know she calls Revy a cunt at one point.
Yeah.
Marinette.
Well, you got to keep that. She also calls like Maya a bitch in French.
Oh yeah, she's not a huge fan of Maya.
Are you enjoying this Nico Robin discussion?
Yeah, so Nico Robin's good. Like I like her. I don't think Metallitar makes like. If I see Metallitar as being a character, my thought is never like, oh shit, is he going to pull it off? Because Metallitar always tends to do a very good job on his characters. I think like Nico Robin's like.
I think it's really clear that he just cares. He cares about the details. He cares about getting it right.
He does, and I think like. I don't know. Like I think like Nico like this is going to be like really like I mean this in like the best possible way, but it's like not all characters need to be for all people. I think in the case of Nico Robin, it's like I like Nami as a character, but she can be a little much for me because it's just sort of like, yeah, okay. And then like Nico Robin is more of that plus like plus Maya. And like I like Maya as a character. I think she's really good, but she's definitely not like personally exactly what appeals to me in SPNatI. So it's hard for me to get into her. And I think you have the leg thing, which is like super cool. Like I think that's really interesting and like it's super well executed, but there's just not really a lot in this character that I'm super like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like I like Perona a lot better, right? Like I think Perona and Jury are really cool. I think Nami's like a great character. I think the resorts kind of continuously support how much work has gone into her. But like Nico Robin, I'm like, I think it's cool that you're doing this, but it's not really there for me. And I don't know if I can give like any substantive criticism because it's just, there's just not like, it's good. It's like, if I go to a Hampton Inn, I know I'm going to get a really good hotel for, a very good price. And that's kind of where I see Nico Robin. She's good. There's nothing wrong with her, but there's nothing here that I'm like, man, I really want more of this either.
Fair. You have any other thoughts?
No, not really.
It's just not for you?
I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, I have no thoughts about her and just be super dismissive because that's like not true. It's just more like, I think she's good for what she...
You don't like the mature Dami mommy?
I don't need that in my life, so I'm okay. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't know. Like, I think like if it were like a Yugiri type character, I'd be a little bit more engaged. But I think she's fine. Like, I think she's good. She's just not like.
Don't forget, mature, tall Dami Mame. She is very tall from what I'm seeing.
I don't know.
Taller than me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like she's good. She's fine. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I think Metallitar knows what he's doing, and that's all there really is to it. Just keep working on her, I guess.
Yeah,
I think she definitely stands out from Nami. I think like that's something that I even struggled with with Mei and Jura in terms of like just having like similar opinions on things. Like, you know, they're crewmates. They're both pirate crewmates in simpler in like similar situations in life. But Nico Robin definitely stands out from Nami. I think she's unique enough in that respect. She's a different experience. You know, because she's so serene and so mature, and she kind of hangs back, whereas Nami really engages with everyone, tries to seduce the player, and Robin's just like, yeah, I'm here, bitch. Take me or leave me. I know you want me. I praised her a lot in our initial discussion, mostly for the custom art and like the leg positioning that she does in her forfeit, and all the extra animatable pieces. And Metal Guitar stated, like, he's heard enough of that. He knows that, like, it's praiseworthy, and he wants to hear criticism and other things. So I'm trying to think of like some of the criticisms I had of her, because I do think some of the, even though her art's super impressive and still is and appealing, some of the honeymoon period has run out with her. I noticed some cracks in there. I do really like the content overall. And I like how she's targeting people, but like, for example, I think she never quite breaks that stoicism even a little bit. It'd be nice to see, like, even in the masturbation stage, like the only time she ever really cracks and shows a little bit of feeling is right at the end, which is how a lot of characters are. I feel they never quite get into it all the way until that brief little moment of like heavy masturbation, and then it's right back to stoic. I would have liked to see her get a little more interested in everybody else, even before masturbation. It's like, I mean, it could start getting pretty hot and heavy. Everyone's naked. Yeah, so she had like relatively little interest in others besides the player. She addressed the player a lot, which is fine. I don't mind that. It's pretty nice, but it did feel like everyone else was just kind of like a funny distraction to her, and the player slightly less so. It is nice to see characters get a little involved and feel like they have something to gain from interacting with everyone else, or something to learn from them. I know she can't do that too much without betraying her sort of cool attitude. But I don't know, maybe she just needed to. I played her where she didn't really have too many targeted lines to anybody. So I guess I just got the full brunt of that stoic shtick.
Yeah, generics are very hard to write, in my opinion. So.
I mean, and the age difference as well. So maybe so going a little too hard on the flirting can come off as weird sometimes, because she is a little bit older than most of the cast.
This is the fucking psych out I get whenever I write Leon. I'm like, oh god. Oh.
Leon's a lot closer to her in age.
No, but just like it's like I don't want to, like, I write these lines. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense for like Adrian to say. Then you're like, Leon's like Leon, and it's like, I don't really want him to say these things to like a schoolgirl. I don't want Leon to go to jail. Anyway.
Oh well, you know his response to young girls who are coming on to him.
No way, man.
We don't have to say it.
No way, man. Anyway,
that's the PG version.
Pretty gay.
In terms of art, I have a couple things as well. I think she could actually use some extra pose variety, because the stoicism kind of bleeds into that as well. I mean, far be it from me to. I know Maya doesn't have I can go on and on about how explaining and concerned and disappointed are all incredibly different and unique, and all the granularities of it.
It's like the fucking American Psycho, and he's like looking at the cards. It's like, look at this tasteful distinction between these two poses.
Yeah. But like, one of the things I noticed is that Nico Robin, I didn't notice it until she started having some variety, but she's almost always looking straight forward. She's very piercing gaze. She's always got her eyes on me, like the cougar she is. But but when she finally like had a couple poses where she had like a more cartoony expression, or she was looking to the side, it's like, oh yeah, she should really be doing that more, because she does have a really unique looking face, and it's definitely eye catching.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as far as her posing goes, for like the first two stages, she does have that big sarong. The big old skirt, which I can imagine would lead to the legs not having much variety. But like, as far as the face, it does pretty much, looking through it, does pretty much just look straight ahead for a whole lot of the poses. So I think looking to the side could help. She does look up sometimes, but yeah, I think really doing more with that could help a bit.
And ironically, even though I praised her like her use of custom legs in her forfeit, it actually, I think it kind of hurt the pose variety in some other ways, because there's actually not as much variety as you might think in terms of how she's positioned, especially with like her hands, like the hands that she spawns to touch herself all over. They can actually be doing a lot more than they actually are. They really don't change that much. She usually got like maybe one on her or two on like her chest, and like, you know, maybe one like rubbing herself and another like maybe on her thighs. That's generally it. They don't get too crazy besides that. I'd expect, I mean, maybe that's breaking the sort of the cool attitude as well, but like, that's what I'm talking about, not getting into it a little bit more. There's not a whole lot of like actual fingering penetration until the end. She could maybe do a pose where, like, you know, fingering both holes, or like maybe put like a finger in her mouth or something. I mean, she's got as many hands as she could possibly want to do whatever. Maybe one where like she like hikes up her legs a little bit so you could see a little bit more of her ass. But just like I'd say like don't stop here. You know, keep going with the creativity, because right now she's kind of like she's always like sitting straight up. You know. So, like crotch-wise, you don't actually see too much variety. It's almost the way characters look when they're kneeling, or you're not seeing a whole lot because she's never really hiked up. So yeah, just like take what you've got and keep going forward. Like I like doing targeted lines with her. She's definitely getting more content as time goes on. It is a little difficult to vibe with her sometimes because she's just. Like, one thing that is kind of funny and shines through well is how she'll sometimes just say something really macabre or something weird and offbeat, which is funny, but it can be tough to vibe with her or to maybe predict what she's going to say or how she's going to respond to an interaction. But that is also pretty funny and pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Those are my main thoughts. Maybe see exactly how far you can go and just breaking her down a little bit, breaking that stoicism, kind of chipping through the wall here. What are the little glimpses we can see of her of showing some feeling? I'm interested where you could find that balance. Does anyone have any closing thoughts on Nico Robin?
Let's talk.
I'm thinking if she was a, you know. If she didn't like you very much, if she thought you were getting too big for your britches, she could spawn a hand and you know, grab you by the balls, put a finger in your ass. Possibilities are limitless.
Cock and ball torture.
Cock and ball torture featuring Nico Robin. That's going to be your epilogue. It's just it's a 30-minute episode like Nami's, but it's just 30 minutes of cock and ball torture.
The soundtrack from Wikipedia.
Okay. So, nmasp. And later Spaceman, but for now, nmasp. It's time for the main event. And the reason we had both of you on for this big episode 60. Normally we try to have guests, you know, talk about their big projects for each cast. And we have two big projects lined up to discuss. So it's been a long time coming, but it's finally Marinette, Dupont, Chang.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. Let's actually have Spaceman go first. I got to head off in a little bit, so we want to make sure he gets the priority to talk about Toph as much as he can.
Okay. So you want to swap around?
Yeah. So, Spaceman, tell us about Toph. Yeah, sorry to kind of take the thunder away. I just realized that I want to give our guests time.
If you have to leave soon, don't you want to talk about Marinette?
I have talked about Marinette a lot. She has been on a lot of these, so I am good to let Spaceman go.
Yeah, but she's finally on testing. She made it.
I'll talk about it.
It's been 2,000 years.
All right, so it's Toph Beifong from James Cameron's Avatar. No, from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Technically our first character from Avatar: The Last Airbender, since we had Korra, but she was from The Legend of Korra, which is a sequel show.
Yeah.
So like when I first found
fucking Korra, that takes me back to like 2017 SPNatI. Korra was on the fucking front page.
That was long time back. So when I first found this,
when Korra was airing, wasn't it? So
I think so. Yeah. And now we have another Korra.
Korra aired in like 2013. It was like 2013, dude.
Well, it was certainly farther back. Korra was still newer.
It's the blind bandit herself, not Toph, Toph, like toffee candy.
Yeah, which is perfect. Perfect because we now have the pronunciation guide in the characters' names, and that's for the characters' names in the character editor, and I really like that. But yeah,
apparently she uses like Braille cards, which sounds like a cheater's fucking dream. But
yeah, so when I first found this game, decided I wanted to make a character from it. The two characters I really wanted to make at first were Noodle from Gorillaz and Toph from Avatar. And then I abandoned both of them to work on Charlie and Wika Piton, but I still kept Toph in mind because she has like this fantastic personality. Of the main characters on the original Avatar show, which I'm surprised we didn't have any on this game, she's easily the one who I think works best for SPNatI personality-wise, but I did encounter a few challenges along the way, and I saw many of them coming, although she didn't. Yeah, her blindness, that was a big challenge to work through. I was going to have it just be like, I was really debating whether I wanted to have her just not see the cards, but play anyway and just have bad AI throughout the game. And I decided to take the cheater's way out and go with Braille cards. Sensing I didn't know about like how she'd react to other characters stripping, because strip poker is largely a visual medium, and with how she sees, she can probably see their naked forms under their clothing anyway. So one thing that she does in the show is that she can tell if people are lying because their heartbeat speeds up. So I kind of rolled with that and had her sense vibrations for other people when they strip or masturbate and all that. But that was a big roadblock. I also had a bit of trouble capturing her personality because I was in the mindset of writing wordier characters like Wika Piton and even Charlie. And Toph doesn't tend to say as much. So I submitted her with relatively few lines because I wasn't sure if I captured her personality well. I didn't want to go forward with a lot of lines because I'd have to rewrite a lot of lines, because her personality is what I love so much about her. And just the fact that I am her sole developer, as opposed to Wika Piton and Charlie, where I had help from co-writers, and they really did most of their generics. But yeah, just tell me what you think about her and like how I can improve upon her.
Well, are there things that you think you can improve right now, or is there something you're not happy with?
Well, obviously more lines, and I'm going through and very slowly adding more and more lines to her. One by one, I just want to give her more lines, but I'm not sure about her personality. I think I've captured it well, but if you guys think I haven't,
I think you've done a really great job with Toph. Like I think don't sell yourself short. I think the personality's there, and I also think when I read her lines, I read them in Toph's voice, which is like the highest praise I can really give you from a writing perspective. And I just A+. Like you did it. Just keep doing it. There you go.
Well, thank you.
Speaking of 2017 SPNatI, Toph kind of gave me a blast from the past in the brief age controversy that she created.
Oh, Jesus. No.
Oh, Jesus.
That used to be a thing. People always, bitching and moaning and bickering about like how old the character looks or how old or how big they want the character to be in terms of like the age up.
That was just like so stupid.
And there was a guy on Reddit who was absolutely convinced that there was like
a conspiracy,
a fucking crusade going on against all the the Natskis and Megamines of the world. Like Toph was like a new policy that everyone was gonna have to be like ballooned up.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna give Natsuki like cow tits. It's just gotta happen, man. I'm sorry, I can't be stopped. It's just gonna happen. Like, no.
You ever notice that the mods make all the petite schoolgirls? It's just like the rich elites of the world.
God, it's so funny.
Secret pedophile cabals.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go like
the Pizzagate of SPNatI.
I'll go back to the cabal and just be like, hey guys, they're on to us. We gotta nix that.
nmasp has literally gone to a pizza parlor on air.
It's true. It's where I went to go pick up my all my lolicon and things that we don't let in the normal game. like what the fuck? Like, come on, guys. But
there was a guy that was very mad on Reddit about Toph.
Yeah, just
very, very mad.
Just don't be that person.
Touch grass. To touch earth. Do what Toph does.
Bend earth. Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Toph is like, okay, man, she's got 666 lines, which is fine, but like you need to add more lines in basically all of her generic cases and get some more targeted lines in there too.
I definitely do.
Like, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but what I'm going to say is, like, don't, like, you want to hit, like, above 1,000 lines, or you're going to be like, I need to get sponsorships. Then, like, someone not to be named is going to come in and be like, yeah, you need to do, like, 300 more lines to meet this sponsorship. And then people are like, oh, well, it's a sponsorship. Can't add more to that. So just do yourself a favor and, like, get some more outreach going. I think also, like, the question that you're going to have to run into from a design perspective is just interesting to me is, like, what does Toph find attractive, right? Like, that's the part that I'm like, like, how do you do that? How do you make that work? Because I don't know. I don't know.
That's a pretty big missing ingredient right now.
Yeah, like, she doesn't show any indication to be like, I really like this or really like that. She just is fine, generally speaking. You know what I mean?
She's just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, she's cool. Like, I really like her.
It's something I'll have to work through. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. I think Toph is great. I think she's got a really good personality. The model's really cute. You're not breaking any rules, so you're not, trying to become a mod and take away our thing, which is good. I just think more targets. You're gonna want some more filters. You're gonna want to see what she actually, like, finds attractive. I think, like, the biggest thing I would advise you to do is, like, go target, like, 20 or 30 characters and just, like, get, like, a couple of conversations going. Like, I've actually started getting, like, a little bit less, like, writing all the conversation back and forth once I have a character. Like, I just kind of have slowed down on that because, like, not that I agree with it, but it's more like I just don't have the willpower to, like, write, like, that much anymore. So, yeah. I
have been slowly doing that. I've been reaching out to to other devs and telling them, hey, I want to target your character's trip sequences, which I didn't do a lot on Wikipedia, but I've been reaching out to them and asking if they wanted to make some conversations, and that's going slowly, but I'm definitely going to try to get a lot more of that done, especially before I even think about submitting her for a sponsorship.
Yeah. I think, like, I think you're about, like, 1,200 lines away from sponsorship, but those can basically all be targeted with some generics in here. I think, like,
some generics.
The thing is, like, the generic, like, I don't think the generics are, like, that off. I just think it's, like, some of the cases have, like, one generic and need, like, maybe one more. I think she's good. I think she's off to a really phenomenal.
Yeah, like, she needs way more generics, honestly, but
I think, like, if you did, like, one more generic in each case, yeah, that's it.
Let's see. Now, what I noticed, like, your interest in a couple different projects when you first joined the Discord server, and so, like, I wasn't entirely sure what to make of you, because generally when people kind of juggle different ideas, none of them ever get off the ground. I was pretty pleasantly surprised to see your work with Wikipedia, because it was like, oh, she actually made me laugh. It was like, oh, this character's pretty entertaining. All right, so this guy can write. And I did get some of that from Toph. She had some pretty funny lines in there. She had some zingers, just being like, wow, I have to make sure to not talk to you in the future because you take way too long. Just shit like that. I don't think she left a strong enough impression overall, though. I think she's a little too muddled in a couple different design aspects. There is the model, which has been pulled in a lot of different directions, and I know you must be loath to make any additional changes at this point because you're trying to please everybody. People who, like, want more of a canon look and who want to be more adult. I know that movie came out to, like, jock you.
Oh, geez, yeah. I am planning on giving her custom pants, so, like, if I have any requests for, like, body changes or whatever, then I'd just like to hear it, sooner rather than later, so I won't have to redo all too much with her.
Right now, I think she doesn't quite. She's a little too, like, locked down in the Kisuke style for me. I think you're trying to translate that cartooniness with some of her poses, like she gets big grins sometimes and her eyes change, and, like, it's not bad. I think you're doing a pretty admirable job with all of those things, but it's just it feels a little too limited by Kisuke sometimes.
I think,
like, maybe I can.
I think they're actually. I think the poses.
Oh my god! They took her arm away.
Oh No,
Yeah, but that's
the
another
pose
example.
where she's doing the that's the pose where she's doing the wiping on her face. Yeah,
I think like,
and like you're doing your best, but it's not quite there for me, and I'm not sure what to do to make her more cartoony.
So here's like kind of like a cheat.
Make everything custom.
Here's kind of a cheat code. Like thicken her outlines. Like do like a darker outline, and things look more cartoony.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mouse
see, I did. I did that.
Go like
and,
one.
and I got some feedback. Oh, one up? Okay.
Whoever told you that outlines were bad is dumb and stupid, and you shouldn't listen to them.
Like do it on her body, not necessarily on her clothes. And I think like you'll get more contrast between the skin and the outfit. That's like kind of like advice is worth what you pay for it. I am bad at art, so even still,
like this concept art that you posted, that is thick outlines.
Yeah.
I think she's always seemed kind of like vertically stretched. You know, because like I know you wanted to make her taller and a little thicker, but I think she's missing kind of that like stockiness she has to her character design. Needs a little bit more rectangular.
I don't know how you do that though.
I think you just gotta thicken up her. You gotta like make her arms and legs bigger.
Go talk to Mike and give her like some custom. Go talk to Mike or Joe, and then I like how we just have like dudes in this community. It's like we're atheism spam, and you have Mike and you have Joe. And you have like Cunt Destroyer 69, but like go talk to them to get some custom muscles for her arms, because like I think if you give her some musculature, you're gonna appeal to a niche that overlaps a lot there, and it's also just good. Like I would say,
I think Yusuke just tries to add curves and like curve lines, and she needs to be a little more boxy. She needs more rectangles in her silhouette. So it's kind of hard to say. It's more of like a character design thing.
I can see that. I think that also. The fact that I was planning on making the
like in this concept art, she's basically a big like rectangle.
Yeah, I was playing somewhere along the line. I think that when I first made her model, the tunic that she has was a lot baggier. But as things changed, fate would have it, it's wound up fitting with her curves a lot more. So, and one of the things I was planning on doing with her art was making just the tunic in general, and also her pants again a lot baggier. So, that'll be something I'll work through, along with making her look stockier and more rectangular, as you said.
I think one of the other reasons she wasn't coming off as cartoony enough was her posing. She felt kind of stiff. Like in this concept art that you posted, like the pose on the right, like the big earthbending pose. She does a wide stance. She like kind of centers herself. I don't really see that anywhere.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to like kind of hunch over like that in Yusuke.
Yeah, the wide stance in Yusuke is hard to do without making it look like she's squatting to take a dump.
I think you just got to make some custom legs, bro. I think you just got to.
I might have to. I've already gotten some requests to make some custom feet for her, have bigger feet, and I'm just like, oh geez.
I didn't get that sort of like energetic feeling of like she could really just like rip a stone pillar out of the ground if she just like psyched herself up. I didn't get that sort of cartoony energy, because she needs to be striking those poses. She needs to, I didn't get that feeling of like she's an earthbender. I know she can't do a whole lot to demonstrate that. Maybe she could like float some rocks. Maybe don't like rip up the entire foundation of the inventory, but she could do a little something.
She does have.
She could like juggle. Some bubbles.
I don't know if it played when you played her, because there were some issues with the line weights, but she does have a pose with her bracelet and bends it into different shapes, and that plays immedially after she takes off her shirt. But that's unfortunately the extent of her earthbending right now. So I'm currently, unless I do some
just have her bring in a pile of rocks to entertain.
That'll be something I'll have to do.
Yeah. So I'd say like my overall impression of her, I just got the feeling like she kind of felt like a cosplayer. Not that like her lines were bad. It's just that she doesn't quite look like the same character design, and she doesn't quite strike those poses. So she feels like someone who's dressed up as Toph and is kind of talking like her well, but she doesn't have the physicality.
I get you.
Again, I know this is a lot, and I don't want to make it sound like she was completely terrible.
Yeah, she's great.
I think she's just missing some of that texture.
No, of course. Of course.
Well, the other thing is,
it's how to make her better. So, don't hold back as far as that goes.
And kind of like Nico Robin in a different sense, she didn't quite crack in terms of like the sexuality. For Robin, it was because she was very stoic and serene. For Toph, it was because she was kind of jokey. This is gonna sound weird, but if you imagine like a sexual scene in like a kids cartoon, like the way they react to things in kids cartoons is like one-liners and kind of snappy zingers, and she was still kind of throwing those out.
You're exactly on the mark. You're exactly on the mark with that, because that's something that was happening with a scene like that did actually happen in Avatar, and it's exactly how you're describing it.
She didn't feel like she got into enough. She was kind of like at an arm's length, and she was kind of joking about it instead of being horny. I mean, it's okay to joke about it a little bit, but at some point I just like seeing characters crack a little.
Of course, yeah. I just got to figure out what she as a blind girl would be into, and also trying to hone in more on like that bending tomboy sort of aspect.
I think she'd be into the other senses, you could say. It's like you got to give me something else to work with because I can't watch it.
It's good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, I've thoroughly raked her over the coals, so I hope she can bend them later.
I hope so. I think she will eventually.
As we found out, magma bending is earth bending.
Do we have enough time? Do you want to give your little spiel on Marinette and her return?
Yeah, I can do that. I think we can actually probably fit in Chie too if you want to, but
no, I think Marinette's a good place to stop. Cool. So let's go ahead and take care of her, and we'll end things off.
Long ago in a distant land. So back in
2019,
2016, I think Marinette was a 2017 character. Marinette was my first character back way back in 2017. She at one point was the character with the highest amount of lines on the roster. And at some point I got some murmurings that people were interested in making Adrian. And given that Adrian and Marinette are very close, it made more sense for me to just do it and be like, okay, fine. The problem is that once I did it, Adrian passed sponsorship really easily, but there were a lot of like criticisms about Marinette, and I just like fundamentally lacked the willpower to do it. And I'm like, how hard could it be? I'll just change it later. And then later came then I made Sucrose and eventually I just kind of sat down, and Phonebox was very gracious and redid her art. Now that we have pipelines, it's also a lot easier to update her artwork in a way that makes sense. I also sort of dropped the expectation that I was going to carry over her old lines. I think there's something I need to do, I think, for like Gwen and Futaba to like not break collectibles. But I think she's finally in a place where like when I rewrote her, I really liked her lines. I thought that it was really good to kind of give her a refresh and frame her more as like the modern version of Marinette rather than kind of like the gimmicky season 1 version. And I'm really happy with how it's gone. I think overall she's a really fun character to write. I do think that I have a less easy of a time writing her these days than some of my other characters. I don't think there's like a good reason for this. I think it's just sort of, she has a very interesting personality, and she can be surprisingly complex. So it's hard to like how Marinette's going to respond to these situations, but they're not generic. So it can become very hard to like add things on with her and how to focus on it. But I'm slowly making progress. She's slowly getting closer to being done. And she will be good to go soon.
People forget, like, creators that joined within the last 2 years when she hasn't really been around. Like, Marinette was a fucking fixture in the game. She was top of the roster.
Oh, yeah.
Always. She had tons of interactions with everybody.
She actually, like, I'm opening her old file, and there's, like, something like 3,000 lines that I just, like, don't have the willpower to move over. But, there's a lot. She says a lot about lots of different things. It's just kind of like, the new version of her is the best. Yeah, the new version of her is the best version of her. And I think I just got to go back and, get her targeted lines up to where they are and do some more interactions with like Adrian and Marinette together, which I think will be fun. But I think she's like almost ready to go for sponsorship. It's just kind of like my own neuroses or stopping me from doing it.
I'm happy to just get her back and to start all over again with targets if we have to.
Yeah, thanks.
Because she's definitely improved.
Yeah. What do you guys think? I hope, like, from my first character where I was not very good at writing her to now, I hope it's much better.
So Marinette is probably the character I know the most about due to cultural osmosis. Of the characters we talked about today, apart from Toph, she's most I know the most about. I've never seen Miraculous, but I've seen enough clips and comics of her to know like her personality and everything. And first of all, do really like the new artwork. Pattern on her bodysuit, it looks good. Both the spots and like the pores in the bodysuit. That's a really nice use of pipelines there. It's difficult to make bodysuits look really, really good in SPNatI, so I think that's something that's really great. And the posing is also very nice.
That's all Phonebox. All of our artwork, credit to him.
Phonebox
kicked ass.
Obviously, Phonebox does a good job. I think based on what I've seen, she captures like the personality nicely. She does seem like she's adult while being in character to what I know, which is very, very little. I like her. She has this very nice, plucky, kind of charming personality. She has those rare moments when she breaks into French, and it's not my taste simply because I don't like having to use Google Translate when playing a porn game, but I wouldn't call it like
rare moments.
I wouldn't call it
it's like every other line.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it gratuitous or anything. At least in the games I played with her, it felt well executed and infrequent enough that I could just be like, okay.
Next line, please.
Yeah, indeed. I think you're getting at a pretty good place. I do think, again, more lines. Just go as at your own pace, but more lines would always be desired for a character like this.
Great.
It's been a long time since I played Marinette in SPNatI, and firing up the game with her, it felt like coming home.
Great. That's what you want to see.
Just as good as I remember. So, biggest note I wrote for her is wear butt.
Horse cat is replacing the fine butt that once existed.
Wear butt. It literally says in her description, thanks to horse cat for the butt pose. It's like, all right, lay it on me. There's no butt pose.
There is a butt pose. It's just outdated. I just got to get the new butt pose in there. Let me show you the old butt pose.
I don't care how indated it is. Just give it to me.
There's the old butt pose. There you go. It'll be like this, but with the new costume. Easy. Done.
Oh my god, polka dot shadow.
Yeah, this is the classic.
Did that unfortunately have to get axed?
People are split on that. After a certain point, I'm just like, the pipe, dude. If you like open her up and go into like her like editor, if you look at some of the pipelines that I had to do, it's like you don't need. You think you do, but you don't. You don't really need the polka dot shadow. Don't worry about it.
Excellent. Just excellent like texturing work on the bodysuit. The pattern's really intricate, and there's those nice bit of there's nice highlights to kind of show the texture and the depth. It just comes together really nicely. I don't know how in love I am with like the new design with like the black crotch, but it's okay. She still looks really nice.
Yeah, it's based on a new costume, so I figured like I wanted to go with the most recent version.
It's understandable. But overall, it's just like everything about her just felt supernatural. That came out.
Miraculous, even.
That's not what I meant. I meant super cute. Everything about her felt natural.
I want her to be I want her to be more confident in her earlier stages. That's a criticism I've gotten. I hope like she's a lot more confident as Ladybug and less like completely spazzy. But then like when the costume comes off, it's just like, all right, time for you to be a spaz.
Even with how rambly she was, like it was sometimes hard to follow what she was saying. She was super cute. Like I loved her, and overall, like through the game, it felt like the arc of like her stages. It felt really natural. She started off confident as Ladybug. She did the de-transform, and then like Tiki popped out. She starts talking to Tiki. It's like, oh, okay. Now we're introducing like another element here, and then she starts getting a little bit more embarrassed and stumbling over herself, and then she starts to get into it, and it just it flowed together really well.
Right.
and she's just she's super cute. Like, props to Nico Robin for being down with the thickness, but there's a special place in my heart for the lithe, petite bodysuit type.
Glad.
I was definitely turning my eye her way.
Did either of you guys play her?
I liked her a lot.
Adrian, thank you for the recent playthrough, because like I think like a lot of Reliant, like she has something like.
I generally try to play characters just on their own without any franchise mates to get the sort of individual experience.
That makes sense. I also think that she has like 3,800 lines, 1,600 of which are with Adrian. So I think, there's like there's a whole bunch of play experiences, because unlike with like Hutao and Leon, where I had the benefit of having a co-writer, like I had to do all that myself, and it was I really, really hope that people enjoy it, because it was a lot of work.
Writing dialogue by yourself, that's something you can have fun with, but it is a bit of a challenge.
I'm just jerking off in a corner. I'm like getting like reverse NTR'd. I'm like jerking off in a corner, like about these two people in a happy committed relationship. So
yeah, like what's your like? Maybe you've already accomplished it, but what's like your goal with those two? What do you really want to get across?
I think it's like if you play them together, you have a good time, but like you can still play them separately. And I think I generally get it. Like I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think there's details I need to like unfuck, but it's overall good.
If I had a criticism of Marinette besides the wear butt pose, it's because she's always like rambling and stumbling over her words and meandering. Sometimes it's a little hard to follow what she's saying, to the point where my eyes kind of glaze over the line. I think if you could do anything, it's maybe try to, like when she starts talking, maybe
trying to be a little better in targeted lines about that. Like I get the criticism though.
Like at the opening of lines, try to give a little bit of a sense of where the sentence is going.
Got it.
So even if she starts to stumble later, I can kind of tell what she was meaning to say.
Right.
And it helps my brain fill in the blanks.
That's good feedback.
Yeah, try to save all the stuttering for like towards the end of the line.
Got it.
But I really like her overall. She was cute.
Great. Glad to hear it. Any other feedback?
Yeah, she's pretty cute.
Yeah. Spaceman, any last feedback?
I don't know. I'll definitely have to play her with Adrian, because you can have to certainly have a lot of fun writing targeted interactions. I've done some of those with Toph and Wikipedia, but like especially when they're from like the same franchise, you can have some fun with that. And I'll have to check that out.
Cool.
One thing I forgot to say about Nico Robin is that I think what Metal Tar does really well with his models is even if they're not like striking any kind of particular pose, I think there's just like detailing on it that just makes it really appealing and attractive to look at. Sort of like the thick outlines are like along the pelvic lines, for example, the crotch lines they have, or just the detailing on their breasts. And I think like Marinette really demonstrates that nicely as well. Even if a lot of it's on the bodysuit, just the texturing is just really appealing to look at.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I just like their art overall. There's a certain X factor you can add to a model where they're just nice to look at, even if they're not doing anything particularly sexy. There's something that just pushes it over the edge, and it's not always easy to tell, but I think it's just having really strong outlines and really strong detailing. Just being really bold.
I can see that. And even without the bodysuit, you're not. We obviously can't show an image of this, but I like that she has that mole on her near her crotch. That's a nice little detail.
That was a phone box. Yeah, it is. It's giving her some body detailing.
You can show that if Sally is careful enough with the censoring.
Everything be censored.
I think she could use a little detailing maybe on her belly. Give a little impression of like a couple lines to give the impression of like a toned, fit look. She does do a lot of jumping around on the rooftops.
So what's really interesting about that though is like I kind of agree with you. I'm not sure. Adrian also has a new model update coming in that will be done when Marinette is, because I don't want to have two characters on testing at the same time and just shoot myself. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that could be some good feedback. I also really like the way that Phonebox did her nose. It's very cute. Okay.
Just overall, super good. And this was a pretty thick episode.
Yeah.
I think we moved along at a pretty good clip, but This was content rich. We covered a lot in a pretty reasonable amount of time.
So, because we're kind of at the end here, Spaceman.
It's so dense. Every single minute just has so many things going on.
Yeah. So, Spaceman, any kind of last thoughts? Also, while you're here, why don't you give kind of your 2-minute spiel on Chie and Dorothy? Just because if you're probably not going to be the same guest next time, so may as well give you the chance to talk about them.
No. So I did play Chie. I think that she has a ways to go, but I kind of trust the authors, to get her. She doesn't really have like the full sort of tomboy personality that I would expect from a character like this, but I think that the author is I can trust the author to do a good job with that as time goes forward, because I think is it their first character?
I think
is that the author's first character? Or?
I think this is the writer's second character. I think the first one was Jill, I want to say.
No, the writer's new. The artist, this is their second.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That'll do it. So yeah, I think there are a lot of first character mistakes that one can make, but I think that I trust. I feel like these are stuff that's going to be ironed out. Dorothy, I haven't played Dorothy yet. Dorothy dropped right before we were going to record this, and I never properly got a chance to, which sucks because I was excited for her. I do like robot girls, but I'll have to give her a try before I give her any feedback. Apart from cute model, I think it's a very nicely done model.
Yeah, she's really cute.
Okay,
cool.
So, do either of you have any final thoughts to close out this wonderful, magnificent, perfectly crafted episode 60 of the Strip Poker Night of the Inventory podcast?
Fuck bitches, get money.
My closing thought is what the hell, Discord bot that caused the entire recording to take so long to start. But apart from that, pretty good podcast. I think I'll definitely incorporate the feedback with Toph, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the other characters do going forward. And rock
Bitches
on.
ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
Indeed.
And also Maya. Maya is perfect.
Cool.
Maya is pretty cool. Rock on.
All right, guys.
All right, please close things out, nmasp, if you can get the command to work. I think it's stop.
Just keeping the recording alive. Want to make sure it does not fail, because that would be a bummer. Yes, it would. I'm currently drilling a hole in some plastic. Yeah. Son of a bitch.